Alright guys, the Defiler's in the game right now, and there are a lot of different people and a lot of different build guides and a lot of different ways to tackle this boss. One good thing is that Ines is actually really good with this boss, and that works well for anybody that's seen any of our other guides, because we actually have a really solid Ines build that with just a few small tweaks will actually get you 45-second to about a minute and 15-second kills on the Defiler. So having said that, let's hop into the build guide and I'll show you guys what you need to do. Alright guys, so we're just going to go ahead and look at the build real quick to walk you through what we do and don't have for this. Keep in mind that this works well with the Queen of Storms build that we have, and I'll link it in the description below. The good news here is you don't have to respec Ines at all in order to run both the Queen of Storms build and this new Defiler build. So if you've used or looked at my Queen of Storms build, you're going to notice that this is basically the exact same build. Here is actually the Queen of Storms build, and here's the build for the Defiler. The big difference here is for the Queen of Storms build, we really ratcheted up our crit hit rate and we gave ourselves a little bit more survivability. For the Defiler, we actually lower that a little bit, but the main goal is to give us cooldown on our one so we can spam that ability as much as possible. So what we ended up doing was slotting in MP conversion and nimble fingers instead of the other two mods I'd mentioned before. Outside of that, this is basically the exact same build. The goal here with this is to give us some additional range so we get more bounces out of our one, and to lower our cooldown while increasing our base damage as well as our skill crit hit damage. Again, if you don't know, with Ines, the higher her MP is, the higher her skill crit hit rate is. So we do want to try to keep at least Enlightenment on here to help us get a pretty high skill crit hit rate. Outside of that, we're going to go ahead and just use the Secret Garden. The main reason for this is for the bonus skill damage or skill power that we will get from having this on. So we definitely want to have this on and out the entire fight, as we're not really going to use any guns or any gun damage to kill the Defiler. For the reactor, this is my reactor. This is actually probably one of the best reactors you could get for this boss and for this type of fight. If you don't get the Colossus damage and the skill crit hit damage, don't worry about it, but try to get the best you can. The only thing that's going to happen is if you don't have both of those, it will increase your time to kill a little bit, but it will not make the fight impossible. But just know if you don't have this, you will have a tough time trying to hit that like 45 second TTK, which is optimal. For our components, we're definitely just going to use the Slayer set. The Slayer set's a great set. It's just skill power across the board. We absolutely love it. Go for as much survivability as you can get out of this set. One of the things I will say is for the sensor, I would definitely consider max MP and MP recovery in combat. This will help keep your skill uptime, not only for this build, but also for our Queen of Storms build that we mentioned before. This is just a great component that you can use for both builds, and you'll just get a lot of mileage out of it. And you can see even here, my processor isn't the best. It has shield on it. I wish it had HP or defense, but it does have toxic resistance, and that's a real big benefit when we go up against the Defiler. Last thing we want to look at is our inversions. So for these, the important part, realistically, is getting the bonus from survival and the bonus from season. Both of these will help you stay alive and help you get HP and MP back, as well as get you some skill range and some skill power. So these are just huge to have. This one, you're not really going to get any mileage out of because you're not going to use your gun, but we can't put two in a single row, so we have to spread them out. Heightened sensory cells are very nice. This is the one that I would pick for this row. This gives you HP and MP recovery, which you will need during this fight. For survivability, this is just going to give you element resistance. You definitely want this. This will help with the poison. And the RK boost. This is one that you may or may not use. It just depends on how your fight goes. If your fight's a little bit scuffed and it goes a little bit longer than you would like, there's a chance you're going to get adds that spawn. And if adds do spawn, you will be able to get a little bit of bonus damage out of this. But if not, don't worry about it because you're still getting the bonus from Quantum Domain. Alright guys, so what I want to do is I want to kind of walk you through what we did during this fight to help you kind of understand the steps and the best things to do to help make your runs as successful as possible. One of the big things here is I like to reposition myself to the side or the back of the Defiler when it starts. It just means he has to rotate and it slows down his attack animations. Now when those domes show up, make sure you try to take them out because they do seem to be tied somewhat to his slam mechanic, and the ability for him to have like a gas cloud underneath him when he's chasing you, which you don't want. We got really lucky there with the chest break. That was just good news with where the bounces were going and being sort of in front of him instead of always beside him or behind him. The other big thing to keep in mind is that pool to the side. You don't want to run into that pool. Even if you can't see the pools there and you just see the spikes, you can still get damaged from running into that pool. The other thing here is when he rears back and then goes to poison the ground, you want to try to grapple up above it, because that keeps you from taking that poison damage, and it will keep you from having to get killed and then run back into the fight. Basically the whole time you're just kiting him and you're just spamming your 1. I don't use my 2, I don't use any other skills, and as you can see, we cleared that in 45 seconds. I'm a little bit winded from having to talk fast to try to get all the information in the 45 seconds that it took to actually kill the Defiler. As you do your runs, you'll start to get more of the telegraphs on when he's going to put his poison on the ground. The better you get at sort of avoiding that, the easier it is for you to get those fast clears, because if not, there's a chance you'll die. Not a big deal, you get 3 of them. If you die, just run back and continue the fight. But hopefully this build and this build guide help you clear the Defiler faster and try to get those 40 runs that you need in order to unlock your next weapon core done as fast as possible. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more content like this, consider subscribing to the channel. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.